Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you are all having a really happy new year, and Pumpkin has come to join us today, so hopefully she will let me film. But today we are going to be talking about how to start a garden and how to plant a garden more specifically. So maybe you're a first-year gardener or an experienced gardener who, sorry, of course she wants to rub her face on the tripod. You're gonna have to leave me alone. So anyways, so what we're going to be talking about today is basically planning a garden, getting everything ready for your garden, and knowing what to start, how much to start, all of that. So I am no expert gardener. I'm just a home gardener who is self-taught, basically learned on YouTube, and so I thought that I would make a YouTube channel to try to encourage other people to garden because it's really made a huge difference in my life and I love it so much, and so I want to share, you know, my experience with everyone I can. And it's not really about being perfect on this channel, it's more about my experience. So these are kind of things that I have learned, and these are things that I am trying this year to increase my yield and to make my garden more successful. So I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it, because if you subscribe to my channel, you know I can ramble. So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do, which I did yesterday, I got a new notebook, is you're gonna want to write down some of your garden goals. So these can be whatever you want. They don't have to be super specific or anything, but just writing it down on paper and seeing your goals, you know, it's always good. No matter if it's about gardening, if it's about whatever in your life, it's good to sometimes just get it out and write it on paper. And also, then you have a reference point for looking back and, you know, seeing what you did succeed in and maybe what you didn't and what changed. Maybe your goals changed throughout the year, because contrary to popular belief, there's nothing wrong with your goals changing throughout the year, throughout the month, throughout your lifetime, because you change as a person, and maybe something that you once thought was really important isn't so important anymore. So I kind of did mine like this. I really just kind of quickly plotted it out, but on this side I am not finished with it. Also, I'm leaving some space so I can add more, but this is just to give you guys an idea. So on this side I just have some of the food, like some of the plants that I really want to focus on. So I really want to focus on tomatoes. Last year was not a good tomato year. Also, I'm in Central Texas, Zone 8B. I don't think I mentioned that, but it was a really hot year. It got over 100 degrees like the first week of May, and so it was just a really hot, rough year, and I didn't get my tomatoes started as early as I should have, not knowing that the weather was going to be as hot as it was. So tomatoes are definitely on my goal list. Another thing that I really want to do this year is grow enough peppers to make hot sauce. I also want to grow more sweet peppers because I love sweet peppers. Like, that's just one of the things that I use in my cooking a lot. Melons are another thing that I've never grown and I really want to grow, so I put that on the list. Cucumbers for pickles, and I've also, I'll talk about this later, but I put some varieties of cucumbers that I want to try specifically that will work better for my zone than what I've done in the past. Ground cherries. I also listed some flowers that I want to do, some that worked last year really well, and also some that are new. Sweet peas and potatoes. So last year I got a really horrible potato harvest, so I really want to work on that. And I wouldn't say horrible, it was just small, a small potato harvest. So I really want to work on that. So I just kind of listed down, this was just kind of a brain dump. It wasn't like I sat there and thought about it for hours. It was just like, what do I want to grow this year? And I just wrote it out. And then I put some garden like goals, and this is, I already kind of mentioned some of them. I really want to have enough peppers for hot sauce. I want to have enough tomatoes to can tomatoes. I want to have a really good blueberry harvest, so that means I need to take care of my overwintered blueberry plants in the winter. And I really want to have a trellis that's covered in cucumbers. That's more of like a vision. I want it to look really pretty in my garden. And then I also put that I want to post one YouTube video per week, because my YouTube channel is part of my gardening. So that's kind of what I did for my goals. And like I said, I left a lot of space because I think you should be able to add to your goals. And this is just a way to also start thinking about your garden, start imagining it, think about what do you want your garden to look like. And a lot of that's going to go into our next step. So step number 2 is to sketch your garden, draw your garden, design your garden. So there are several ways you can do this, and depending on what type of person you are, you might want to do this in a different way. So for me, I like pen to paper. I really like writing things. It just helps me. I'm sure some of you can understand. Making something on a computer, typing something on a computer, yeah, it's fine, especially if it's something long, like a research paper. I'm not gonna handwrite it. But if it's like thinking about if I'm gonna draw my garden plan, for me, I just feel better drawing it on paper. So that's what I did. I actually don't have it in front of me, but it's in my desk. And this is something that will change throughout the year. But the reason I do it is so that I can visualize my garden, and also so I know what to buy, like what seeds I need to buy if I'm buying plant starts and stuff like that. So there are many online programs. There are even apps you can download on your phone. You can Google garden design, garden Excel, things like that, and you can use someone else's program, or if you're really good at computers, which I'm not, you can design your own program and build your garden that way. I will say the online ones are kind of nice because you can always go back and change things around, and a lot of times, which this could be nice or not nice depending on your gardening method. A lot of them are like square foot gardening type things, which means the blocks are like, each block on your garden bed would be a square foot. So if your garden bed is 4 feet, it would have like 4 little blocks. So those are kind of nice because you know what size of plant can fit in 1 square, what kind of plant needs 2 square, what kind of plant needs 4 squares, things like that. So you know how many plants to plant. That can work depending on what type of gardener you are. If you're a gardener like me, who is a little more sporadic, and I like to, tuck basil plants under my tomato plants, and I like to throw random seeds places, it might not be the best for you, but it's still good to get an idea. So like I said, sketching out your garden and visualizing it. Last year, actually, what I did, a little off topic, well, kind of, but I actually took a picture of my garden, of it totally empty, and I just used the little draw function on your iPhone's editor or your phone's editor, and I drew some of the plants into my garden. Like, obviously it was like a squiggle line for broccoli or whatever, but I also drew in the trellises I wanted to add. I drew in some of the extra garden boxes and some of the pots I wanted to add. And that kind of helped me understand the space a little better and how I wanted to set up those trellises. I had like arch trellises. So that might be an option as well if you already have if you want to take a picture of your yard. And I know there's some really awesome apps that you can get that actually you can draw on and make it look really realistic, or you can just do it on your iPhone. So that's step 2, sketch your garden out, and that will help with step 3. So there's a reason these are in this order, because if you do step 3, which I'm gonna talk about in a second, before you do step 2, you wouldn't exactly know what you want to order. So the next thing is gonna be to take an inventory of your seeds, or buy seeds. If you're a brand new gardener, maybe you don't have any seeds. If you already have existing seeds, if you already have a collection, obviously it's really important to take an inventory of what you have before you go out and buy a bunch of new seeds. But if you're a brand new gardener, the world is your playground. You can buy whatever you want. I mean, obviously other gardeners can buy whatever they want too, but it's good to use your older seeds first and to not just be buying stuff you already have. So I organized my seeds into a photo organizer. I showed you all that in my last vlog, and it really helped me to know what to order. And it also helped me to just think about more categories of food, I guess, like melons and things. I'm not a huge cantaloupe lover. I don't really like cantaloupe, but I'm still gonna try to grow a melon because I think cantaloupe from the store is maybe not the most flavorful, whereas like cantaloupe from the garden is maybe going to be a little better. So anyways, it kind of just gets your mind working when you look through your seeds and see what you have and browse seed catalogs. You can order seed catalogs. You can look on seed websites. I will list some of my favorite seed websites down below, but I'm not going to talk a lot about seeds because I have several videos about seeds and like seed hauls and stuff. So if you want to hear me talk more about seeds, check out my other videos because I talk more about that. But yeah, you're going to want to order seeds. And if you're in a warmer climate like I am, you're probably going to want to order them pretty soon, or like now, or find somewhere locally you can buy them, because seed starting is happening. I started seeds yesterday and I started seeds today, and it's going to keep going. I'm going to be starting seeds like pretty much every week from here on out. So, and you're like, probably like, what do you mean? How do you know what seeds to start? Don't worry. I got you. We're going to get to that. So the next thing you want to kind of think about, which isn't like a full step, but it's something that you want to consider when you're planting your garden, is if you want to start from seed or you want to do plant starts. So this is definitely something that you can do both. Obviously you can do both. I personally do both. Every year I've gardened, I've done both. Like since I've starting seeds, I gardened many times. Like I've had gardens kind of off and on throughout my adult life, but this is definitely like the biggest garden I've ever had, and I'm like the most into it that I've ever been. But in the past, at most, I never started from seed. I always bought plant starts. Plant starts were also a lot cheaper back then, so I could get like a 4-pack of a plant start for $2, but now some plant starts are like $5 each, which I find absolutely horrible. That's a conversation for another day, but you might want to think about what plants you want to start from seed and what plants you want to start from a start. And there's many reasons why you would choose either one, and I really want to make a video breaking that down. But the main reason might be lack of space to start seed or infrastructure to start seed, because it does take equipment to start seeds. So you might just consider that when you're thinking about your garden and a budget and all of that. So the next thing we're going to talk about is Frostate. So this is going to be what explains when to start anything. So let's say we're going to start from seed. You don't have to start everything from seed, but let's say you want to start some of your plants from seed. You are going to need to know your last frost date, because your last frost date is going to basically determine when you start your seeds. And I have a little layout here that shows when my last frost date is, and then I counted back 12 weeks. So each week, so 12 weeks from my last frost date is January 7th. So anything that takes 12 weeks from being inside to when it needs to be in the ground needs to be started on January 7th. So something like that might be onions. Onions take a long time to get going before you are able to put them in the ground if you start them from seed. I am going to buy onion sets, so I'm not going to be starting onions from seed, but that's definitely something that you need to think about if you're starting something that takes a long time like that. And then so on and so forth. So week 11 is January 14th, and I kind of went in like on week 10, January 21st. I want to start hot peppers that week, lettuce, kale, and celery. I really want to start some of this stuff sooner, but I'm going out of town. So I'm trying to figure out if I can find someone to water my seedlings. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter for this video. But this is kind of a layout that you can make so that you can see every week and you can see what stuff you need to start. Now, I know a lot of people just start all their seeds at one time and it works out. I am doing things a little different this year, and I'm trying to get stuff started pretty early. I already started a bunch of stuff and it's January 1st. The reason I'm doing that is just because I'm afraid that it's going to get really hot really fast. So I wanted to, like last year, my broccolis, right when they started to head up, 100 degrees, they all died. So I really want to be able to get some of those colder weather crops in the ground before my last Frostate because they are sort of frost hardy, and I know I can get them in the ground before the last Frostate and they'll be fine. But I don't want to start them too late because I'm afraid they're going to get too hot. So that's something you will learn as you go, and there's just so much with gardening. You're just never going to stop learning. Because you need to experience it sometimes, and sometimes you can hear people talk about it on the internet or you can read every book, but your garden is its own microclimate. Your garden has its own needs. Your soil has its own nutrients and all these things that even if you know everything about gardening, you probably don't, because you know what I mean? Like if you move to a new space, things are going to be different because you have to learn your own space, your climate, all of that, and it changes year to year. So it's like, for me, sometimes I'm like, gardening, it's crazy. But this is a great way to get started and get organized. And you might be thinking, how am I going to do that? Like, what are you talking about, Morgan? This is too much. I have a trick for you, because there's this really, really, really awesome website that they have made Excel spreadsheets for fall and spring sow dates. So I'm going to link it below. It's super easy. All you do is you go to the website, you click the link to the Excel. Let's say it's the spring one. You click, as long as you have Excel on your computer, you can use it. So you click edit, make sure you can edit it. And all you do is you change, it'll say estimated last frost date. You change that to your estimated last frost date with your year and everything. And it will update every single fruit and vegetable that's on their list with when you need to start it indoor or when you need to direct sow it. So that helped me a lot with these, like what to start when. And so that really gave me a really good rough estimate, especially for like knowing your garden zone, because there's sometimes like all this information about like gardening and when to start things online, and people don't take into consideration your zone. Like a lot of people are probably thinking, what the heck, she's starting seeds in January? That's ridiculous. And it is. If you live in Michigan or Canada, yeah, that's ridiculous. Why would you start seeds in January? But if you live in Central Texas, you live in Florida, you live in Arizona or something, zone 9, zone 8B. Yeah, sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. I haven't talked to many humans this week because my 3-year-old is on summer vacation. Oh God, I need some coffee. Is on Christmas winter vacation. And so I've been home with him for like 2.5 weeks. I know, if you're a parent, you know. So my brain is not 100% right now. So I apologize. I'm trying to keep this semi-organized. And I even made like a list, but sometimes I just go off the rail, and yeah, sorry about that. But hopefully some of this information is helpful. And the last thing on my list is how much to start. And so this is definitely going to vary depending on your garden, depending on your needs, depending on what you like to eat, because plan your garden around what you eat, because if you don't eat it, you're not going to use it. There's no point in growing it. Realistically, if you don't eat something, why would you grow it? Unless you want to give it away, that's great. But guys, I guess I should have made that my first point. Now that I'm making this video, I'm realizing that that should have been point number 1, because point number 1 is grow what you like, because if you don't like it, then you're not going to eat it. Then there's no point in growing it. Unless you just like the way it looks, then I guess that's fine and you can throw it in your compost or give it away. But so that should have been point number 1. Don't forget about that when you're planting your garden, but hopefully that's kind of obvious. So the last thing I want to talk about is how much food you want to grow. And so obviously this depends on your garden space, how much room you have, and how much you eat. If you're a single person and you live by yourself, if you're only growing food for one person, you probably don't need 75 broccoli plants. You probably don't need 3 rosemary bushes, because realistically, are you going to use that much rosemary? Probably not. But if you have a family of 5 people, yeah, you might need 100 pounds of potatoes or more a year, if you guys eat a lot of potatoes. So that's kind of something that you want to think about, and it's going to be really dependent on you, your lifestyle, how much you cook, how much you eat, all that. So that's just something you want to incorporate in your whole plan, like your goals. Like, do you can food? If you can food, then you can grow a lot of tomatoes and it's not a problem because you can just can what's extra. If you don't have any interest in canning and you just want to eat fresh tomatoes, you probably need a lot less tomato plants than someone who's planning to make, you know, a bunch of tomato sauce and can it. Same goes for like pickles. If you don't like pickles, don't grow a bunch of cucumbers. Just grow one cucumber plant because you know that you're just going to eat them fresh and then you'll be done with them once the season's over. So that's something you want to take into consideration, and that's also going to be used when you're planning your garden, like doing your garden plan. You're gonna, you know, say, okay, I need 6 rows of carrots because we really like carrots or whatnot. So there is also, I was going to mention on that same website, a same kind of Excel thing for how much food you need to grow based on how many people are in your household. Now that one, I haven't quite figured it out, like exactly how it works. I just looked at it for a few minutes the other day, and it's kind of by row, and I don't grow by row, so it was a little confusing for me, but that might be a really good resource for you as well. So I will obviously have that website linked below. So that's pretty much how I'm planning my garden. Again, you will probably change things, you know, don't get so obsessed with your plan that if one thing goes wrong, that you're going to be super bummed out, because realistically, when you do your garden, things will go wrong. We just had a hard frost in December, which is really rare for us. I don't know if it's rare, but it's kind of unexpected, basically. And it was like 10 degrees in my backyard for 2 days straight, and it killed everything. And I thought I was gonna have cauliflower, I thought I was gonna have broccoli. I covered stuff, it still died. So, you know, it happens, that's nature, you know. If you're growing stuff outside, you're gonna have to deal with the elements. And so that's just something that I wanted to throw in there, because try not to get super bummed if everything doesn't go exactly to your plan. But I think it's still good to have these goals and to have this plan. One, because then you know what to start, when to start it, and kind of what you want to get out of your garden. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope those resources are helpful for you down below. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and follow me on Instagram. I post there a lot more regularly, but I'm also like the most random person on Instagram. I don't have like yeah, anyways. So I hope you all had a good new year. Apologize for my delusional behavior. I need a nap or something. So thanks for watching. I hope you have a good rest of your week, and I would love to know what your goals are for your garden this year. Talk to y'all later. Bye.